Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, but we're going to have a look at another brewery I've never tried anything from, and we're going to head a bit north for this one. So for this review we are going to head to Gävle, which is a bit to the north of Uppsala, which again is a bit to the north of Stockholm, and we're going to have a taste of my first beer from Geflebockens Bryggeri. So this one is the Ruby Bock, which comes in at 8.5%, and it's also known as the Brinner in the shit. So this one is an 8.5% Imperial IPA. So there was a few reasons that this beer caught my eye actually. This one was released on the 1st of November 2019 through Systembolaget here in Sweden. And I can't remember actually whether this one was in the Juldrika assortment or whether it was in the local Osmosit, but there was, when I was going through my order that I do at the start of the month, there was stuff went into the basket from both lists. So I'm not sure whether this one is intended as a Christmas beer. But when I did read about it actually, I thought, you know, Geflebockens, I've never heard of them, and so that was one reason. But then the second reason was that when I actually read about the beer, it seems that this one is somewhere along the lines of a red IPA, an Imperial Red IPA. And if you've watched the channel before, you'll know that I absolutely love my Imperial Red Ales and the red IPAs, and you don't see too many of this style in Sweden again, so it was one that just ticked the boxes for me for both of those reasons. And of course I get to introduce you to a new Swedish brewery as well actually, which is always a cool thing to do on the channel. So I'm looking forward to this, and I really hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future from Geflebockens Bryggeri. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, as I mentioned. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Geflebockens Bryggeri then. So Geflebockens Bryggeri, as I mentioned to you earlier on, are based in Gävle, and they were founded back in 2016 by Peter Bornegrim. So his father Tage Andersson was the brewmaster for a number of years at Bockens Bryggeri in Gävle, which was actually the last of the breweries in the city until the new wave of craft breweries came along. And this brewery remained in operation I think until about 1976. So this was when Peter's grandfather stopped being the brewmaster there after the brewery was bought up and moved elsewhere. And it was his grandfather that really inspired him actually to go on and be his own brewer. So he first considered opening his own brewery back in 2013, and after a friend tried his beers, this really encouraged them to go professional and just go for it. So Peter set up a premises where he could brew some pilot batches, but he was brewing the bigger batches of beer at Geflebockens Bryggeri in Kristianstad down here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. Later in 2018 though, Peter invested in giving the company its own brewery, so he bought a 1,000 litre kit from Ryantorp's Brewery after their owner shut the brewery down to move and work with Opigårds, and he also bought 6 fermentation tanks as well, which took their production capacity up to around 100,000 litres of beer per year. The same year, Geflebocken also became the owner of Jedros Brewery after the owners decided that they wanted to step back from the company, but they wanted the brand to continue. And throughout 2019, Peter has been working to kind of build up the presence of both companies. And as of November 2019, when I'm filming this review for you, they've produced 26 different beers under the Geflebockens name. I don't think I've actually reviewed any beer from Jedros for you. But I will see if I can review some of those at some point. I'll check on Systembolaget and see whether those are available nationwide. But the other brewery that you have up in Gävle is Hopsy Daisy, and I have reviewed one of their beers on the channel before as well, which if I remember rightly was pretty nice actually, so we'll need to see if we can review a few more of those as well. But Gävle is supposed to be a pretty nice city, so hopefully I can get up there with my dad at some point and have a little look around. It would definitely be cool to go up there and take a look at it. But yeah, that was all the information I was really able to find on Geflebockens Bryggeri for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to see all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer then. So as you can see, it's really quite a nicely presented beer, this one. Gävle apparently means like Capricorn, as in the star sign, from what I understand. So it's basically like a sea goat or a sea ram or something like that, if you want to translate the animal. So yeah, basically this is the Geflebockens Bryggeri. But this one, and I think Bocken obviously comes from the old brewery that was in Gävle before. But there you can see it. There is the bottle cap on this one. Again, pretty cool. I'll be adding that to my collection. And it tells you a little bit on the side here about Geflebockens Bryggeri as well. But it's just talking about it. It's actually, the one complaint I would have about the design of this bottle is that I think they need to make the text here black rather than gold, because it's pretty damn hard to read, to be honest with you. But it basically just tells you about the stuff that I've told you in the video. But it talks about yeah, on the side here it tells you about the actual contents of the beer and things. So this one, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's an 8.5% double IPA. It's hopped with Waimea and Azaka, and the malt base in this one is Maris Otter from England and Cara Ruby. So like you say, this one will come out something like a red IPA. So without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the taste. And I think this beer is going to be quite interesting to try, actually. And like I always say, you can really get some very interesting beers from these little lesser known breweries in Sweden. The Emmaboda Brewery in Kalmar was one that I discovered recently that had a really nice double IPA, actually. So hopefully this is another IPA that follows somewhere in the same light. And also there was Idlewild from Jönköping as well. They had a really nice old West Coast IPA which I thought was very good. I've been missing my West Coast IPAs, as I've repeated a few times on the channel, actually. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, and as you would expect from a sort of red IPA, this one's poured a lovely, quite rich amber colour. It's almost like a blood orange colour. If you shine the light through it, it comes across with a really nice, almost, I think copper is maybe a good way to describe the colour of this one. And it is actually, you can see little bits of particles floating around in this one. It does have some degree of haze to it. There's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would say cream fawny coloured head on this, maybe ivory. Could ivory be a good descriptor for it? It does have a little slightly, very, very light beige tint to it, but one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But you know, overall, it looks pretty nice and not overly surprising in terms of its appearance when you consider it is supposed to be a red IPA. I keep getting that there's a little fruit fly going around in my room just now and I can't get it. But yeah, as you see, very nice looking beer, this one, not overly surprising in terms of its appearance. So let's take a look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Yeah, that's really nice. It comes across as quite a malty IPA, but you're going to get that if you're using like Cara Ruby and Maris Otter. Those are quite bready, quite kind of thick malts, to be honest with you. Maris Otter was a very popular malt to use by Scottish breweries when they're brewing American IPAs, actually. And a number of English breweries, I'm sure, will use it too. And of course in Scotland we don't have our own hops. We tend to, you know, we always used to tend to bring hops in from America or New Zealand and things like that. And incidentally, yeah, Waimea is a New Zealand hop. It usually gives you a very nice kind of orangey, jammy, like marmalade type aroma. It really gives you that, big orangey notes. Whereas Azaka, again, it's kind of like tangerine-y. It does have a little bit of a kind of pineapple-y and sort of tropical fruit complexity to it though as well. So it's a really nice hop actually to use in a red IPA. And you can smell those big oily oranges coming out of this beer. It's got a little bit of that lighter juicy tangerine as well. I'd say that that's the thing you're getting out of this beer. There's not really a tropically note to this one. It is mainly big and orangey. On the green side of the hops, I'd say it's more grassy. There's a teeny little bit of earthiness in there as well. Yeah, not so much floral, definitely more grassy this one compared to anything else. But you've also got you've got a really nice kind of, yeah, there's a really nice kind of malty quality to this one. You can smell the big kind of smooth bready notes, and it's quite biscuity as well. That's the Maris Otter, but I'm guessing the Cara Red will be giving you some of that character as well. Some nice sort of sweet caramel, a little bit toasted as well, I have to say. So I like how that, how all of that comes together. Nice big bready, kind of biscuity malt base to this one. So yeah, kind of everything you'd expect from a red IPA. It's quite a reserved aroma, this one though. It's not overly pungent, it just kind of sits there and smells, you know, pretty damn nice. It's not kind of jumping out the glass at you, it's quite a subtle aroma, this one. So go into it a little bit, sugar it up and just see what kind of things you get out of it. But a quite orangey, biscuity, slightly caramelly and bready aroma from this one. And the green side of the hops, as I mentioned, are mainly quite grassy. But let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. This one is the Ruby Bock Brinner in the shit. From Geflebockens Bryggeri in Gävle, an 8.5% Imperial IPA, but to me I think this is probably going to be more like a red IPA. Let's get stuck in. Sláinte, skål. Yeah, that's pretty nice, I have to say. It's definitely one of the more malty double IPAs that you're going to come across. It does have some nice hoppy qualities to it as well, and the bitterness really starts to come out of it a little bit later on actually. I like how that goes together. Just be aware of this beer. This one is one, it takes a little minute just to evolve on the palate and, you know, give you the impression of where it's trying to go. Yeah, I like how this how this whole thing kind of fits together actually. This is, to be honest, it's an IPA that has the sort of American hoppiness and fruitiness, but it's got a little bit more of a kind of English ale malt base to it, if that makes sense. But that, you know, Maris Otter is an English malt, so it kind of does. I like where they're going with this one. It gets a thumbs up for me. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, but I think at 8.5%, this isn't one you're going to session, to be honest with you. But the malt base, I think, is really quite nicely balanced. I really like that. That's nice. So yeah, let's try and see. Let's try and break this flavour down a little bit. So in the middle of your palate then, you're going to feel that nice bready quality. That blankets the middle of your tongue. It thickens up the further you go into the aftertaste as well, which is really nice. So a nice little bit of a kind of biscuity. Well, basically, if you go to the middle of your palate, you can feel the nice kind of sweet caramel notes there. And then as you move further out from it, it's a little bit more sort of biscuity, I would say. And I really like how that goes together. It's quite a simple malt base, this one, but it really does work. It really suits what's going on in the rest of the beer. And you can feel this one does have a little bit of booze to it, which is good. So yeah, smooth bready base, little bit of a kind of sort of biscuity sweetness, as I say, and then as you move into the centre of the palate, it's quite a sweet caramel. It's not really got any toasty character to it, and you can feel a little bit of the boozy note coming out of this one as well. There's something that's telling me that in this one, I think they might have used Cascade as the bittering hop. There's just something about this beer that is telling me that Cascade has been used as the bittering hop in this one. Either that, or it could be Columbus, right enough, because it's got a little bit of that spicy sort of floral quality to it. But in fairness, you can get a little bit of a sort of resinous quality from Azacca. Azacca can give you a little bit of a kind of piney note, but there is just something about this beer that's telling me there's maybe a little bit of Columbus and a little bit of Cascade in this. It's just the way some of the fruity notes are coming out that's making me think it's Cascade, but the way that the floral spiciness in this comes out makes me wonder if it's Columbus. Or Tomahawk, of course, could be the other one, because that's quite similar. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there's a little bit of earthiness there. As you move further forward along the sides of your tongue, it evolves to be a little bit more kind of floral and aromatic. I don't know if I go as far as pine resin with this one. I think it's more of a spicy floral aromaticity that's coming out of this beer, and then round the front curve of the tongue, it's just that little bit lighter and more grassy. And of course, behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters push their way out of the beer. So yeah, fruity side of the things then. If you go to the very back of that kind of oily bubble, there is a little bit of a grapefruity note. That's what's making me think there might be some Cascade in here, as well as the Azacca and Waimea. But as you move further forward, it really becomes more kind of, it's a big oily orangey flavour you're getting out of this one. It's got a bit, as you move further forward, it becomes a little bit more lighter and tangerine-y, and there is maybe just a wee hint of tropical fruit there, but to me, at the back of that oily bubble, there's a good hint of grapefruit, which again makes me think about there being Cascade in here. This beer does have a good little bit of IBU to it, so it is kind of more a West Coast IPA rather than anything else, which is quite nice. I've been missing the West Coast IPAs, as I've said, but it definitely fits in to that nice sort of red, sort of red IPA, Imperial red IPA category. So yeah, thumbs up to Geflebockens Bryggeri for doing this. It's quite an unusual style in Sweden, but I think they've pulled it off pretty nicely. If you like this style, I think you will enjoy this beer. It has everything you'd expect, and I would say that about it. This is one of these beers that doesn't do anything kind of unusual. It is more along the lines of one that's just, it's pretty well crafted, I have to say. But this one, it does make me curious about what some of their other beers would be like. There's a good variety of different things in there, a regular IPA, a stout and stuff like that. So maybe I need to look into this brewery a little bit more and try one or two of their other things as well. But there's so many beers coming out these days, it's difficult to say when I'll actually get around to doing that. But you know, impressed with this one, and cool to have a go at a style that's not commonly found here in Sweden. So thumbs up to Geflebockens Bryggeri in terms of this one. A nice big bitter but also sweet and an orangey IPA. As I've told you before on the channel, I love the IPAs that lean towards the orangey side of things, which is probably why I enjoy the Imperial Red so much, because quite often they do have some nice orangey flavours in them. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, definitely a mid-bodied beer. The carbonation's very smooth, a big, quite a big oily mouthfeel rather than anything else. I would stick with that. In terms of IBUs, breathed in the wrong way there. In terms of IBUs, I think we're talking about 80 with this one, to be honest with you. It is pretty nicely done. With the malty side of things, yeah, quite smooth underneath, but then quite sweet. The thing that lingers into the aftertaste is the kind of bready quality, but you get a little bit of the malty sweetness as well, and you've got some lovely big oily orangey qualities, but you've got a little bit of that darker grapefruit kind of lingering there as well. Like I said, there is just something about this beer that makes me think there's been Cascade used in here, so I wouldn't be surprised if Cascade has been used as the bittering hop, or in addition to the Azacca and the Waimea in this one. The thing that I didn't really get out of this though was the Azacca can usually give you some more tropical fruit qualities, but there's not too much of that in this beer. This one's all about the oranges, and that of course is what you would expect both from Waimea and from Azacca actually. So yeah, a really nice example of the red IPA sub-style, if you like. So if you enjoy that style, then I recommend you go and have a little look at this particular beer. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one is the Ruby Bock, the Brinner in the shit, from the Geflebockens Bryggeri in Gävle here in Sweden. A really nice beer this, and I definitely need to keep an eye on this brewery and see what else they've got available. But yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Geflebockens Bryggeri as well, and I'm sure I'll return to these guys at some point in the near future. I would like to go up and have a look at Gävle as well. It'd be cool to go and see, because it's, as I say, it's supposed to be quite a pretty little town, but it's definitely somewhere I'll go in the summer rather than the winter, I have to say. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Until the next time, it's Slanja just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slanja, skål, cheers.